What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are. It's the 25th day of January. Here we are at about $88.8 thousand with roughly 10 hours, 51 minutes left in the day. We are moving down a little bit, and we've actually seen a low today at about roughly $88,000. This was to be expected, right? We expected to at least go down to $88,000. I think at most it was just below 86,000, right? We really could see prices just below this low before we actually recover and move up higher. Overall, being in this range, right? I think we nailed it on the head back on the 21st of November whenever we said we probably move sideways for a month or two. We're moving sideways. We're at this point in time now where it's been about a month. It's been a little bit over a month. And I did say it could be 2 months. I mean, it really could be until the end of February that we start to break out. I doubt it. I'm not expecting that, but technically it's a possibility. Statistically speaking, there's actually enough evidence in our history, in our recent history, to back that up, because we've seen some pretty long consolidation phases at our low areas throughout this whole cycle. So anyways, getting beyond the semantics here, getting beyond all these shenanigans, what I'm trying to say is from this area, even though we are expecting the price to go to 88 to 86K, which we basically just fulfilled those needs right there, the expectation overall is that we will break out to the upside, not to the downside from here. Okay, that's the overall expectation. Looking at this right now on the 1 hour time frame, let's just see. It is Sunday. It is the weekend. Typically over the weekend we don't get much price action. Things are boring. We have low volume, low liquidity, right? And Saturday, let's see, Saturday was no exception to that. We basically just moved sideways all of Saturday, a little bit down. And now Sunday, today, we are dropping. We dropped a good bit, very, very fast. If and when today closes, if we close today red, we close here lower than we did on Friday whenever the stock market closed, we will have a CME gap to the upside that needs filling. And we probably do go to fill that gap sometime next week. Looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, looking at the RSI, we have bounced off the oversold zone. You went nice and deep into the oversold zone. Typically, whenever you see readings this deep into the oversold zone, I do expect more to come. I don't expect it to be a one-off like this, right? Whenever you're this deep, I typically do expect more to come, and this is where bullish divergence typically comes in. So that might make sense for lower price action, right? You're bouncing now, and that's nice. That's a nice little bit of a recovery. I wouldn't be surprised if when I guess the stock market doesn't open today. I wouldn't be surprised if we move lower. The stochastics are moving up. They look bullish here, but at the same time, you're right at the 50. You've rejected the 50 once, twice, 3 times in a row now, actually. And then the MACD, of course, looks bearish as well. You're coming down. You're building bearish momentum. You're actually at a point where it makes sense to reject and come down now as well. And I guess if we look at the RSI, you're also at a point that makes sense to reject because you're very near your 50. You also have these lower highs coming in. I mean, it really does make sense that you'd come down. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was not the low of our move down, but if we went lower. I also wouldn't be surprised if we went below this low. And I want to be clear with my words here. We can go a little bit lower like this and not go below this low. That's it, and we're good, and we're moving up now. We can go a little bit lower, we move up, whatever, and then we move down, and then we move up, and then we move lower, right? We could go to just below 86K, and then we're good. But something between here and this low, something in this area is likely where we're going to go to, okay? We're likely going to go just a little bit lower, nothing too dramatic. If this is the low from like the last couple of days, if this is the low, this is the low, the higher low that we're looking for, fine. This is adequate. It does suffice. It does meet the requirements that I think I would need to see to provide an actual low to count on, right? This really could be our higher low here, and we're ready to move up. But I don't think that it is. I think that we have a little bit lower to go. We might come closer to like an actual double bottom in this range, but we'll see. The 1 hour time frame definitely makes me bearish. It definitely does. Here we are, in this consolidation phase. You've got this kind of pennant. You've clearly broken out, and you've broken out without volume. So I'm not worried about this breakout at all. I'm not worried about lower prices. We're very likely going to eat that back to the upside. I'm calling it right now, guys. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Watch this. Watch this. We've forgotten too soon. Watch it, Bart. We'll watch us BART right out of this, just like this here, right? I guarantee you, I can't guarantee anything. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we BARTed right out of here, and as fast as we came down, if we went up faster, I wouldn't be surprised in the least. Genuinely, the volume only has decreased. It picked up. There's above average volume here on this drop, but there was more volume on the pump, right? This volume is just not as significant. I think there's more buying pressure. I don't know. Maybe not. That's still a good bit of volume, but I would just say I'm not impressed by this drop at all. 4 hour time frame, looking at the RSI, we're bouncing off the oversold zone. That's kind of nice. Are we bouncing off the oversold zone though? We're only doing that because this time frame, this 4 hour candle right here is green. If it was red, we would not be getting this bounce right here. And being that I'm bearish on the 1 hour, we have 2 hours and 45 minutes left. I think that we're going to probably close this candle red. So really, this RSI will probably continue to come down into the oversold zone. We'll get that higher low here. We'll have that lower low here, at least on a closing basis. I wouldn't be surprised if we close below this low here, 88.4K. And once we get that low close, once we get that bullish divergence, then things will really start to look good. We'll probably get a false cross on the MACD and then cross back up. We'll be crossing above the zero here probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Monday, should be a good day. That's nice. That's good. Either that or we'll slip more, but we'll see. I think to me it makes sense that we would get a false cross because we drop just a little bit lower, then likely come back up. So we would get a cross back above the zero sometime within the coming days. A cross above the zero on the MACD. The last time we did that, right here, the oscillators cross above the zero, that was really good for price. The time before that, whenever we crossed above the zero was, I guess, like right here, somewhere like right around here. We were at a low point, and that was pretty good for price. The time before that, we crossed above the zero. It really wasn't that good, but I mean, we did get a little bit of a lift up. That was kind of a false cross, I guess. Cross below the zero here, that was not good for the price. Cross above the zero here, that was pretty good for the price, but it was kind of a lagging indicator at this point. And typically, the MACD is a lagging indicator, but I digress. All I'm saying here is, to me, assuming that, again, we will go a little bit lower, we'll probably get a false cross to the downside. We'll probably see this cross red. It'll be like one of these iterations here, where it's just very, very short-lived, and then we come back up. And assuming that we come back up, we're building bullish momentum. I would assume that we do cross above the zero at some point. Sometime this week, we should see a nice expansive move to the upside from this like low range here, back to the upper ends of this range overall. Again, looking at the daily time frame, a lot of people I think are assuming that we've broken out, that we are going lower, and maybe it's possible. It's certainly a possibility. I don't expect it. I'm not making that call myself, but maybe. It just doesn't make sense how we have such low volume here. We have lower volume. I mean, here, whenever we were breaking out of this, hold on. Let me just see. We were breaking out of this range. We had this volume at the low. We didn't have any volume on the breakout at all, but we had this volume at the low. That amount of volume there is actually larger, is more volume than what we're seeing here. And the move was smaller. This move is larger with less volume. We broke out here with more volume than we did here when we're quote unquote breaking out, right? We broke out with more volume here, and that was a false breakout. And back here, I confidently came out and I was saying, this is not a breakout. We're not going lower. This is not a bear flag breakout. We're just doing the same stuff. We're just in this horizontal channel. That's all it is. It's a little tilted upwards, to be fair, but it's the same noise here. It's literally the same thing here, but with less volume, even less volume. If we were doing this, if we were breaking out to the upside, if we had a pattern like this and we broke out to the upside of it and we were doing this and there was no volume, the volume was decreasing, I would be scared. I'd be pretty scared, but we're not in that situation. We're in the opposite. So not scared, excited, very excited for what's coming next. And I think that we're going to be moving up, absolutely. From this area, the expectation, at least on my behalf, would be that we go up to something around this closing high here, maybe these closing lows here, yeah, something in that area, which lines up very well with our golden ratio zone. From a high to a low, the golden ratio is right there, 106K, 110K, something in that range. It's perfect. What about this? Let's see. This actually might help me determine if this is the low. I'm gonna make an assumption based off of a fib extension here. Let's see. Low to high. Oh, it's pretty close. Look at that golden ratio extension. It's right there. Has Bitcoin liked its 1886? Let's just see what it's liked to do lately. I'll put this back on. This is not going to take long. Let's see. Hit your 1272, found support at the 1618. You didn't really regard the 1886 at all. Let's see. What about here from a high to a low? You went right up to the 1886, actually. You went right there. Okay. Okay, I see you. 1886, I see you. Nothing really else to go off of, though. There's nothing really, no other extensions that I can take that would come up with that. Let's see, what about this high to low? Golden ratio, you keep wicking above it and eventually stopped off at the 1886. Kind of interesting. Okay, what about this one? Let's just see. High to low. You did stop there, technically, for a time. You do show some respect there. It's kind of interesting. What about this? Hold on. And low to high, you found support right at the 1886. Wow. Is Bitcoin in a 1886 environment? I don't hear anybody else talking about the 1886. That's a good thing. If everybody was talking about it, then we might consider it less. Look, Bitcoin's shown significance at all these levels at the 1886, which we just verified, right? We just did that. So then maybe from a high to a low, might it make sense then that our target area lines up with that 1886 there? I don't know, maybe. And we'd seen it enough times where Bitcoin actually did wick above its golden ratio. So I think this is appropriate. This really could be the low. I think with that, what we just did, the extensions there, and analyzing what we've seen for the extensions over the past year, really, and the respect that we've seen to this specific area or higher, I think this is the low. I think we found the low. I don't think that we go below that low. I will say it though. Again, if we go to 86K, we're okay. That's fine. It can happen. Okay. But at this point, I'm going to stand firm by it. I think that was the low. And hopefully I'm right, because if I'm right, I'm on a real heater. We called this low. We called this low. We called this low. Let's see if we can call this low. Let's see if we can get that going on. I shouldn't say we called this low. That's not fair. That's actually not fair at all, because I thought this was the low. We thought this was the low. We thought we were done here. You know, like we kept dropping. So that's actually not fair. This one I was not right on. It was third time's the charm, right? But then I probably thought this was the low. You know what I mean? Like we can go back in time and just talk about how wrong that was too, right? We were in a much more bullish kind of frame of thought back then. We're still in a bullish frame of thought now, but now it makes more sense because I think most people are in a bearish, fearful frame of thought. Whereas before we were in a greedy kind of, maybe not euphoric, but just people were more expecting it to the upside. The price typically doesn't go the direction that the average person expects it to go to. Anyways, guys, I'm just talking at this point. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. 88.8K. The low today is at 88.1K. We probably do go just below that low. I would assume so. But I don't think that, at this point, I don't think we go below 87K. If we do, we can go to 86K. Hell, we could even go to 85.8K or something like that, like just below 86K, and that's okay. We go a little bit below there, though, things start to get a little iffy, a little dicey. So hopefully we avoid that. Hopefully we don't get anywhere near 85K or let alone lower. We'll have a different tone and a different thing to talk about at that point. We might, if that were the case, we might go just below this low, and like 76K, something like that, could hold support, but we'll see. The reason why I would think 76K can hold this support is because if we go to the, and by the way, in case you're confused, I did not just say that I think we're going down there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if I'm wrong, and if this slips, and this low from the 21st of November isn't the low that we can rely on, 76.9K at the 236 would hold us as support. Prior support, 236, that would probably hold us as support. It would be a slightly lower low. And how many times throughout these little bottoming ranges do we get a slightly lower low, right? Right here in these bottoming ranges. You found your low. This is weeks, right? So you had your low here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and then on the 6th week later, you broke that low. It was as soon as you got that lower low, that was the low, and you moved up, right? You're consolidating here. You had a flat base. Once you got this little lower low right there, that's whenever you moved up, right? So if we got a lower low after consolidating in this area, and then we moved up, I mean, statistically speaking, that's like a 100% that we've done that every single time. We've literally done that every single time in our consolidation phases. So again, I'm not calling for this. I'm not calling for this target. I'm just saying if I'm wrong, if we don't hold 86K as support, if we don't hold 87K as support, we don't move up from here, we don't break out up from here, we instead move down, this would likely be the area to find support at. But again, I'm focusing on that too much whenever I think we don't have any real reasons to focus on that yet. If we get to 85K or lower, this would be the target. But until then, upside. 106, 110. I hope it's well received. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. In this world, I've come to find that people are very confused by words and by anything that they see on videos, that we can all watch the same thing and come up with different forms of reality of what we're seeing. So I'm trying to be as specific as possible so that there's no confusion there. Anyways, hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.